town started in a parish. Jamaica has a lot of parishes, 14 of them. And we're from the eastern side of the island. And the parish is St. Thomas. The town is Morant Bay. Now, Morant Bay is an historic town in itself because there was some uprising there against the British in the earlier years. They called the Morant Bay Rebellion. And, people that didn't like what the governor was doing rose up a guy named Paul Bogle. And that's where it really got, the defiance came from. We're from Morant Bay. Our parents both, some from the eastern end in a place called Bath, St. Thomas, and the others from, in Trinity Seafort, St. Thomas. So they got together, got married, had 4 boys. And my mom died early, and my father, continued. My grandmother is really to be credited for growing us up. And we were in Morant Bay, and it came time for the boys to go to school. Winston, let me do it the right way. Trevor, then Winston, and then you had Tyrone, and I'm the last one. They came to Kingston to go to school. They went to a school called Morris Nibs, and they were living in Kencut. And then going to school every day, they would pass at the bus stop. They would pass and hear the sound system. And they said, "Wow, that's cool. I want my dad to go into the sound system business," because he was working with the government, have 4 boys and not enough money to, kind of send them all to school.
Yeah.
So they said that, I think the sound system of the day at that place was Skyrocket. They said, "Dad, I would like for you to go in a sound system." And he said, "You crazy? Sound system?" Because he used to sell radios for Philips of Holland. And, as a sideline after work. And sound system just wasn't the thing for, to be classy for middle class people. Sound system was seen as a ground floor thing in the inner cities. And he didn't take kindly to it. But they kind of, tell him, you could do your own thing. And he finally bought it and decided to make boxes. Being a salesman for Philips, it came naturally because he got the amplifier. We use European amplifiers, unlike those Jamaican sound systems who used the ones that were built here. These were big sound systems with the KT88 tubes, big, and they were really powerful, and they used the big House of Joy boxes. And my father, he went for the more refined sound, kind of European sound. And he had the Philips, and he first started out with a 20-watt battery electric amplifier that you could hook up when there was no current to your battery, and then you make music. In those days, it was really not, it was what you call lawns, maybe a little place behind a bar that they would put up bamboo around so you can't see inside, and they would have that. And that's how Merritone, the genesis of Merritone. We were the first sound in St. Thomas, in Morant Bay. And it caught on like wildfire after that. The Chinese guys, about 4 of them, they had, they always have money. They had fabulous looking amplifiers with all the pretty lights and everything. And they would call us the radio sound because our amplifier was but it was very melodic. It wasn't I love the big beat, but you could talk around these, And that's the genesis of Merritone. We hung around Morant Bay for many years, at least 10 years. My father died in 1955. And the boys came right into it. They were then working and doing the sound system on weekend until Winston quit and decided this is what I want to do. So he did his vote. But we hung around Morant Bay. We were just the cream of the crop. Because, my dad had that little panache. He liked to dance, and he would get the records. My auntie used to travel to Dominican Republic, Cuba, and to the US, and she would bring back all the hits. So we finally came into Kingston in 1962 in February to a place called Wembley Club. That was the first play we played. And, it came from the fact that some guys from Kingston, our schoolmates, they used to come to Morant Bay and see the Merritone sessions we used to have at our house. Our grandmother was hip. We start partying from Friday and finish Sunday, and we just cook and eat, and everybody would sleep everywhere and cheer everything and go to the dances. When we came to town, there was some doubt whether or not this little country bunking sound could come to Kingston and made an impression. So when we went to Wembley tonight, everybody would stand up outside and looking. You know, they kind of apprehensive, these guys. And after about the first 5 songs, everybody started paying the money and come in. And that was it. We came to Kingston, never went back to Morant Bay except to play. And that's where the whole thing exploded. We were not heavyweight sounds. We used to go to these guys like Coxsone, Duke Reid, Edwards, Prince Buster, Beverly, all the record guys. And there were 2 sounds there, Billy's Hi-Fi and one called El Toro, which was more party sounds like us. Yeah. But after we came to Kingston, we pretty much eclipsed them. What we did here in Kingston was the middle class people wouldn't go to sound system, or they couldn't go. They danced the bands. So we came to Kingston with this Merritone sound system. And a good friend of Winston, who used to be the road manager for Byron, he said, listen, if you want middle class people to come to your sound system, which you are, you're not downtown roots, you have to change the name. When a girl goes to her parents and say, Merritone sound system, nah. And he said, change it to discotheque. Discotheque. Discotheque is a nightclub in Paris, in France, where you play music this was after the war. You know, because nightclubs here, like anywhere else, was live entertainment. And we started with it, and you hear every sound now has the word disco there, disco, but they don't know where it comes from. But before, let me just go back to Morant Bay. We used to play with all the great sounds that would come to Morant Bay. Like Coxsone, Edwards, Duke Reid, all of them. We would host them in our hometown, a place called Springfield Club. And they all used to come and play with us, and they used to bring the music, and we had people up there in Morant Bay who had plenty good dancers. So it was always like a sound clash, so to speak. But we were never embarrassed. It was friendly, and we enjoyed that. So we developed a good relationship with Coxsone. We used to call him Jackson. And Duke Reid. And Winston used to go and travel. They used to save their lunch money to buy records. And I remember one day Duke Reid said to Winston, hey boy, because Duke here is kind of rough and tough. Where you get the money from? Your schoolboy in the school union buy and say, hey, it's my lunch money, sir. Yeah. And Duke Reid would give him the record and squeeze him back the money in his hand, because his wife used to like my brother Trevor a lot. She would think it was her son. So we have some interesting anecdotes around the sound system. And even with the word discotheque, the Gleaner one day put out a little cartoon. This guy, he's dressed and he says, Mommy, I'm going out. She says, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the discotheque, Mommy. And she says in the Jamaican vernacular, disco, take off your clothes.